Hello, everybody, and welcome into another Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by Dayton Reimer and Peter Barricchini. We have taken a bit of a break last, I think, week or so. We did our looking towards the Hlinka Gretzky, but now we're going to look back on it because now that's done. U.S. won gold medal, which for the first time in a long time, they've had a really good year on the international level. I, of course, won the World Championships, not prospect related, but they did win that for the first time in like 90 or so years, which is a long time. And then Hlinka Gretzky always seems to be dominated by Team Canada. This time, not. The U.S. won that this time. So let's start there. Talk about the Standouts 26 draft eligibles that played, some 2027 guys. So I'll start with you, Peter. Who do you find that stood out the most for you throughout the tournament that the U.S. ultimately won?
Yeah, I think the main thing about Team USA was there was no standout player. It kind of seemed like it was a whole collective group that pushed them forward, especially in that semifinal game against Canada in the shootout that pushed them forward into the gold medal game. And, you know, obviously there was nobody. He was their main go-to offensive weapon for Team USA. 4 goals, 9 points in the 5 games. Just seemed like he was always involved in the play, and he was always creating or always finishing something off. And, obviously their top 6 was not as strong on paper compared to that of Sweden or Canada, but they were effective. They got the job done. Zelensky was always in the middle of that. And, he basically got results. It was timely goal, a timely assist, setting somebody up, being in the right place at the right time. I thought he was one of, obviously it was a whole group, and there were a lot of other players that set up for Team USA, like Nikita Klepov, Jack Hextall, a lot of other names. But I really thought that Zelensky really pushed himself forward and helped kind of carry Team USA in big moments. And even during the medal round 2 or in the elimination stage, I thought he really popped off.
There's so many 2026 guys that, of course, play in these tournaments. Team USA, like you said, lots of guys that there wasn't one guy that they're like, yeah, for sure, he led them. He was the guy that made sure that they won the gold. It's a very team effort, which is great for the system because, it's great to have a whole team that's playing well. So, yeah, the U.S. really good. Dayton, what about you for standouts?
I kind of agree with Peter that not really a big name standout for the Americans this year. A lot of them did really, really well. I really like watching Jack Hextall. He was probably my favorite forward that I caught. But I think my standout is going to be Brady Noling, their goalie. Mm-hmm. His stats don't really reflect maybe high-end performance. He finished with an .866 save percentage. But the moments I saw him, he was so solid. He was just like unflappable, right? He didn't panic in the crease. He wasn't moving his feet all around. He just squared up and made the saves. And I think that was a big reason why the Americans were able to do as well as they could. They had a guy, for the most part, behind them who could make the big saves when it counted. Almost Grant Fuhrer-esque, right? You don't count on him to make every save, but the saves that matter, he makes them.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of the American. From what I saw, Noling was really, really good. I liked him, and I think he's got a pretty good future lying ahead of him.
Yeah, that's always the big thing is sometimes making the big saves rather than making a ton of saves. It's when you do them, and I think that's always a solid attribute to have as a goaltender. So yeah, we'll see where he goes in the draft for sure. Peter, what about Team Sweden? They, of course, were the silver medalists. Lots of guys that really stood out from what I saw in social media and stuff like that. They're going to have a pretty strong group for the 2026 draft. And, of course, making it to the gold medal game is really good. Who do you find that stood out from Sweden?
Yeah, it's got to be Marcus Nordmark. Coming in, he was coming in, it was going to be him and Elton Hermansen leading the way for Team Sweden. Lo and behold, both of them were 1-2 in tournament scoring, but Marcus Normark was by far the best player in the whole entire tournament. Just absolutely dangerous offensively, deceptive playmaking. Every single time he was into the slot, getting to that open ice, he would always wire a shot on net. Very dangerous, very lethal shooter. Again, kind of equal parts playmaker and goal scorer by my accounts from seeing him a little bit last year and at this tournament as well. But he was just on another level. He was absolutely dominant from beginning to end. Unfortunately, not the result that Sweden wanted, even though they kind of had highs or high points during the gold medal game. They lost focus a little bit. But Marcus Normark was always in the middle of everything, putting teams producer in the games that he was supposed to be. So he's really one name that really popped off in a big way, and it kind of a little bit obvious, but one that deserves to be recognized.
Sure. Dayton, what about you for Sweden?
I mean, it's really tough to disagree that he was incredible, led the tournament in scoring, both in points and goals. I mean, 7 goals in 5 games. I believe there was a hat trick against, I'm blanking on that. Was it Finland? Yeah. I'll
fact check during this whole entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But he was just able to sort of command the play. Like he knew exactly where he wanted to put the puck. He commanded the offense, like I mentioned. Not really much else I can add. He was easily the best player of the tournament.
Believe it was Finland. Finland for that hat trick. Yeah.
Fantastic.
There we go. Well, speaking of Finland, Finland and Canada were in the bronze medal game, and maybe a disappointing finish for Canada because they're usually in the gold medal game. They're usually winning gold at the Hlinka Gretzky. At least it seems like it. Dave, I'll start with you for Team Canada, where they did win bronze. Who stood out for you for Canada?
I think there was a lot of really good performances from Canada. They brought a lot of really solid players. I think they sort of stumbled in that semifinal against quite got to where they needed to be, and that left them with a bronze medal. But I mean, that's kind of what Hockey Canada has been doing lately, not to get too lost in the reeds. My favorite, though, was, I think, a pretty easy choice. Mathis Preston was just fantastic. I loved his energy. He's got speed. He was trying crazy things in that semifinal. He shows really high-end creativity. He was so fun to watch every time he was on the ice. So I think he's going to be really fun to watch in the WHL this season with the Spokane Chiefs.
There you go. Peter, what about you for Team Canada for the standouts?
Yeah, Preston was definitely one of my standouts for Team Canada. My recap. I mean, absolute speed demon. I get it. I could go with the easy option in Ethan Belches, but I will give him a shout out because of how dominant he was in the physical battles. I mean, when you're 6'5", 227 pounds, that young of an age, you're going to be dominant, and teams are going to have a tough time containing you. And he was an absolute force in the offensive zone with his shot, played down low in front of the net. But he didn't have a whole lot of points, but I really enjoyed watching Tynan Lawrence. I really think that despite the lack of offensive production, he was still engaging, and the transitional play that he always had where he was breaking up plays and quickly shifting the offense really shows that two-way dynamicism as well as that again, it kind of nothing like Marcus Normark or Elton Hermansen where they really popped off in a big way with their production, but I really like the steady all-around play that Tynan Lawrence brought for Team Canada. And again, lack of production aside, I really like that he did the little things right. He was absolutely smart. He got the IQ and awareness. I really enjoyed his performance.
I mean, points isn't always everything. You're looking at some of these guys. The small things do matter, and scouts are going to be watching that too. So, standing out isn't always points, and definitely he did that for sure. What about Finland? They did get shut out in the bronze medal game, but they did make it there. Dayton, what did anyone from Finland really stand out throughout the tournament for you?
Yeah, they had a bit of a tough time, I think. I mean, really got blown out by Sweden. Didn't, match Canada's energy and couldn't get the goals that they needed in the bronze medal game. But they had a couple of really strong performers. Oscar Hemming was very good. Oliver Savanto. But I think my favorite was Ollie Walrus. He had some really, really smart passes. I thought he was a very aware, heads-up kind of player. Moved the puck really, really well. And I think he was, you got somebody to be able to move that puck and see the ice and make those plays. So I thought he was that guy for Finland.
Peter, what about you for Finland? Anyone that really stood out for you?
I mean, yeah, I really like the awareness that Hemming brought. I mean, he could kind of find the soft areas of the ice, and teams can kind of lose him in the thick of things, and he makes himself very much available when that puck comes to him. He's always in the right spot at the right time. I really thought he did a good job of that, even sneaking in undetected to catch defenders off guard for an easy tap and goal rebound opportunity. Really liked the mindset that he brings with his smarts on the ice. But I also like Juho Piparinen. 6'2", 203-pound puck-moving defender. I really like the smarts, or not necessarily smarts, but the two-way game that he brought on the ice. It was really steady. Again, at certain points, the defense for Finland really didn't stand out, but I really liked what he did on both sides of the puck. He had the mobility, he had the ability to take away the time and space. He's a big body in front of the net. He makes it a nightmare for attackers in the defensive zone. So really like the upside that he had.
I mean, Finland in general, they always seem to be competitive in any tournament there is. So part of teams in the future, and a lot of these guys are going to be there, even though they sometimes struggle in some of these tournaments. But they're still solid players. So lots of guys to still watch out for as the draft gets going. Now, there were 4 other teams in the tournament, Slovakia, Germany, Czechia, and Switzerland. Peter, did you see anyone else from those teams that didn't make it to the medal rounds, but that really stood out?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about 2026 standouts, and I am going to go for a player that is in for 2027 down in Slovakia, and that's Oliver Ozogany, where he had a hat trick. I believe it was against Team USA, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, we talked about the influx of talent coming from Slovakia with Juraj Slavkovsky, Simon Nemec, Dalibor Dvorsky, where he put his name on as an underager at this tournament a couple years back, where he popped off. I think it's the same thing for Ozogany right now. Going to play in the Tri-City, or for the Tri-City tournament, USA, because he's played AAA in the US already with the Cleveland Barons. He had 144 points with the U15 team, and then 34 points in 24 games with the U16 team. So he's already acclimated very well to the North American style ice. Obviously, he thrived with the European ice as well. But watch out for him, because he's going to be a dangerous player this season, and he's definitely going to be a name to keep an eye on for Slovakia as a whole and for the 2027 draft.
2026 guys, you're watching. There's some 2027 eligible there too. So I mean, you're watching them as well. Then not just 2026. Dayton, anyone that really stood out for you from the other teams?
Yeah, there's a few guys. Ozogany, of course, had a great tournament, 4 goals, 4 games. I'm really interested to see what Yuri Kamas can do after defender for the Czechs. He led the team with 3 goals in 4 games. The Czechs had a bit of a tougher tournament. Evidently, they didn't finish with a medal. But Kamas kind of showed as a one of their top offensive producers. So he was using a bit of his mobility, using a bit of his size to help generate that offense that the Czechs were sorely lacking. And he's headed to the expansion Penticton Vs this fall. So that'll be interesting to see. Like, he'll probably be one of their top defensemen.
Yeah.
Not to say that they have bad defensemen. He's just, I think he could bring some of the most offensive flair to the blue line. And that could be a real interesting combination to watch this hockey season. And I don't know if I would have paid attention to him if it wasn't for this tournament.
There you go. The Penticton Vs are going to be an interesting team just to watch in the WHL because, I mean, one of the newer, well, not one of them, the newest team in the dub this year. So, I'll have to watch them too because they're in BC here. All right, let's just to finish off here. Peter, I'll start with you. Anyone you're really excited to watch this season that you really weren't, I mean, maybe you're aware of, but now that you watch this tournament, you're like, I really want to watch him more closely this season?
Yeah, a few. Namely, I mentioned it briefly at the top for Team USA, Nikita Klepov, who's recently just signed to play with the Saginaw Spirit. So OHL is in my neck of the woods right there. So it's a good opportunity to watch him this time. And yeah, I really enjoyed the ability of him to just slice and dice through defenders with his speed, agility, puck skills, and control. There was a really nice goal that he had where he just came out of the corner and just roofed it up top. So he's got that skill. He's got the shot. A little undersized, but the smarts and the skills all there. Dayton, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like this. It's gonna be Liam Ruck. His play for Medicine Hat last year, and even at the Memorial Cup. I don't know why I drew a blank there. But I really like the tenacity and energy that he brought. And it's obviously because it was great to see him be paired up with his brother. I think that's, Marcus kind of has that playmaking ability, kind of like the whole Sedin vibe thing where you have one playmaker, you have one guy that has that scoring touch. Obviously, different caliber of players, not comparing them to the two. It's just, I really like the way that Liam Ruck was in on the attack, really generating offense, really, wearing the opposition down low. So I'm really excited to see him this year. I had a little preview with the postseason in the Memorial Cup. The Hlinka Gretzky Cup is going to be one that's going to really elevate his play, I think, and he could be a really, really solid possible late first rounder, early second round pick.
Medicine Hat's going to need him this season too, for obviously the guy that they don't have this season. Dayton, what about you for that? I mean, that you're really excited to watch, and maybe weren't. I'm not saying weren't excited to watch this season, but maybe more now that this tournament's done.
I mean, Liam Ruck is a fantastic choice. I was going to pick him. I mean, I still could, but let's name some more players. But he had a great tournament. I thought he looked really good whenever he stepped on the ice. Cooper Williams didn't get a lot of playing time with the Saskatoon Blades, but he looked pretty good in that final game. Of course, I was already very excited to watch him, being a Blades covering person. So, Dima Zhilkin, man, did he look good. And I was chatting with Peter a little earlier. I did not realize that he was not eligible until 2027. It just, that information skipped me. I'm not sure how, but he was on the ice, and it's like, well, he looks as big and strong as everyone else there. He was laying hits. He's going to be fun to watch. Of course, he's over in the OHL, so I won't get to see him too much. So I'm just going to pick an easy choice. Daxon Rudolph.
Yeah.
Man, that guy good. A lot of stuff was said about Keaton Verhoff as Canada's best defender, and I think that's valid. He was a very solid player. Daxon Rudolph was at least the second best, if not tied for first. He was just a solid, reliable defensive presence, and he's drawn a lot of comparisons to another former Prince Albert Raider, Caden Gooley. They're both big. They both, I think Gooley's the right shot. Maybe not. But they both kind of have this meanness. They control the back end. And they're able to use that size and that mobility to really shut down guys. Now, where Rudolph excels is that last season as a rookie, he put up that, and I don't think he ever will in the NHL. This guy has that meanness and that mobility, but also that offensive sense. And he's going to be just awful to deal with for the rest of the WHL, I think. And being in Saskatoon, I'm going to get several chances to watch him. So that I'm very excited about. Already was, pretty hyped on him. That tournament has made me even more excited. That's a special player for sure.
Gooley's a left shot. So yeah, I mean, there you go. Number two. Yeah, Rudolph, I think he'll do that. I think he will be very good to this season to watch for sure. All right, well, that's another Hlinka Gretzky in the books, and that's the first event really for the 2026 draft, guys. And the seasons are starting pretty soon now. I mean, 2 weeks, probably around. We got training camps starting up. All the junior leagues start a lot earlier than the NHL. They usually start, I think it's middle of September, if I'm not wrong. That all of them get going really quickly. So we're going to start being able to talk about games very soon, which is great because hockey this offseason seems like it's been a year. So we're
overall.
Some hockey. For sure. Thanks, Dayton and Peter, for coming on. Talking prospects as always. And we'll be back with another episode next week. We'll figure it out. But they're to tell me some stuff that we can figure out to talk. We'll go back to our underrated prospects. But we'll see. But make sure to check out everything at hogwriters.com. We do still have stuff out. We got lots of season previews, lots of prospect stuff, top 10 lists on, even though the offseason's slow. But lots of content to read. But check out everything and our Substacks and everything else on the YouTube channel. But until our next episode, we will see you next time.